There's so many implications when it comes to this transaction, and you've set the stage. Let's just pick up on all of them one by one. The first one is, in the last couple of weeks, there's been so much talk about exits, how exits continue to be a problem in India's startup ecosystem. I know that the road to IPO is looking visible, but we still don't have direct listing as an option. But this particular transaction, it'll bolster confidence in the ecosystem?
Absolutely. For two reasons. I think one, the fact that a very large conglomerate industrial house body is getting into the game, number one, right? And so I think it shows that it can be a very, very large market, which is still very, very early. Right? We're still talking about less than a 5% penetration of commerce as a part of retail. And the second is the amount of capital involved, as you very rightly said, right? It's probably the largest after Flipkart, Walmart. And the amount of capital that's going in probably into the company, how much will be paid to some of the outgoing shareholders. And that sets the stage for future secondaries, whether it's in BigBasket or other companies like it, right, which are in a similar stage. And I think, in my view, this is, like I said, a very seminal moment because it's yet again a powerhouse coming into the market, which a lot of us were like, look, it's sort of done and dusted, and very clearly it's not, because this is a way for them, I'm guessing, to really expand and build out a true online to offline business using their offline platforms and whatever all the assets that BigBasket has been able to create on the digital side.
The other thing is, I understand that India, especially now, cannot be a winner-take-it-all market. It's a booming space, this e-commerce space, and the entry of yet one more giant is going to make it far more interesting. How do you see this playing out? You've got Amazon, you've got Reliance, you've got Walmart, Flipkart, and now you have the Tatas.
Absolutely. I think it should dispel that notion in many ways. There will be disproportionate value that will go to the market leaders. So if you're number one or number two, you'll probably have more value or capture more value from the market. But it is certainly too fragmented a market, too large a market, and too disparate a market for it to be a winner-take-all. As a proxy, if you look at how the FMCG world plays, right, Hindustan Unilever, with all its distribution power and might, still has something like, I think, 15% plus or minus market share in the country in terms of consumer products, and there's others who build significant scale there. So in a way, you can think of it like that. Now the difference is, as a consumer-facing product, you can probably attract much more loyalty than you can as a when you're having to go through distributors, etc. But no, absolutely, I think it just shows the power of a disaggregated market, and also one which is very different than any other large market in the sense that it's not necessarily organized even in the offline world, as many other large economies are, is getting organized almost simultaneously in the offline world and in the online world. And in that sort of a situation, the online world will always have the ability to move quicker. So absolutely, I think this opens up that market landscape, and it still gives, by the way, the ability for a lot of fast-growing new age startups to also disrupt, whether it's new customer segments, new product segments, new ways of distribution. It's certainly not bye-bye for startups even in this market.
Okay. So, like you said, the market is so fragmented. So, there might be some disproportionate leadership and all of that. But Karan, I've got to ask you this, and we've seen this time and again, when a new player enters, and, you've got the mighty Tatas that are now entering with the ambition of hoping to have a super app, have all the consumer businesses on one platform, all of that. Are you expecting a price war of sorts?
There could be. I think you're right. There could be a price war in certain product categories and for certain customer segments. You can already see wherever Jio is live, or JioMart is live, sorry, that pricing is very aggressive, and that's affecting margins for some of the folks on the offline world and some of the new age entrants in the online side. So in a way, it's sort of a win-win for consumers, because both price as well as convenience should become easier. It may not last forever. Of course, convenience will, but price may not. But yes, you could see some levels of price, discounting, price disparity happening. What a digital platform allows is for it to happen in a very, it's not a blanket approach. You can really choose and pick which customer segments, which products, when and how you want to do that with. And that's really the advantage, which I'm sure one of the reasons for going after this sort of a transaction is.
Clearly exciting days are ahead of us. This is an ET Now exclusive that Tata's and Big Basket have signed on the dotted line. And Karan, before I let you go, the other big implication of this deal, sometimes you gain equity for doing some things. And in this case, is the Tata's providing an exit to the Chinese giant Alibaba. I mean, it's no secret what the government's views are right now of Chinese investments in Indian companies. What will be the strong messaging that could come out on that front, that full exit has been provided?
See, I think it's tough to really decipher that too much beyond the point. I think the flip side, or the other way to look at it is, you've got an investor who's a balance sheet investor, right? So they've not got the drawbacks of potentially what a financial investor may have. But they've also got, the strategic capabilities to be able to help a Big Basket, right? And so that helps a company like a Big Basket or anyone like them in many different ways. And, it also increases their chances and the opportunity for further capital infusion, the way Flipkart also was able to do, right, with Walmart coming in. All those kind of doubts at least for the short to medium term, do get dispelled. I think that's the part which is, very, very encouraging to look at. And I think hopefully that allows more Indian companies, more Indian startups to look at more Indian forms of capital coming in, whether it be strategic or financial. And I think that's really the big takeaway here.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Karan, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for joining us for this big news break on StartUpCentral today. One of the biggest M&A deals you've seen in the startup ecosystem, perhaps the second largest, at least the biggest after the Flipkart Walmart deal. Tata has to pay 9,500 crore rupees for a 68% stake in Big Basket, and enterprise value of 13,500 crores. We'll take a short commercial break, but stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up on the other side, it's going to be Hitesh Oberoi of Info Edge India.